welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm an Australian circus performer who's currently on tour with Dual Reality by the Seven Fingers and soon to be joining Infamous the show back in Australia. For today's video, I thought I'd do a little bit of a circus Q&A so you guys can get to know me and my career a little bit more and to kind of see how I got to where I am today. Also, I'd like to note that I do have a show later, so I am in show face today. First question. How did you get started in circus performing? So I actually started out as a gymnast. I was an artistic gymnastics first, and then I changed over to rhythmic gymnastics. And then after that, I went into circus, and I actually went through the circus school route. I went to NICA, which is the National Institute of Circus Arts in Melbourne. And I got my bachelor degree in circus, and I've been performing ever since. At school, it's a 3-year, I think most schools are, I can't talk for every school, but in Australia, it's a 3-year bachelor degree, and I went for the 3 years of full-time training. I didn't necessarily need the bachelor piece of paper, but I used it as a tool of 3 years of focused full-time training to sort of build my foundation of skills to then head off into the real world and start applying and performing. And then at circus school, we picked 2 specialties and we did a group act. So my specialties were hula hoop contortion and aerial hoop. And I was in the group juggling group act. Oh, this is an interesting question. Did you always want to join the circus? I'm gonna say no. I didn't grow up being like, one day I'm gonna join the circus. Everything just sort of led me down this path and I'm so grateful for it. But funny story, I think I was in level 10 or the end of level 9 of my gymnastics career. And I remember my mum saying to me, oh, maybe when you retire from gymnastics, you can join the circus. And my initial response was, ew, no. So little did I know that this was going to be the perfect path for me. Yeah, so everything just sort of naturally led me down the path to being a performer. And even in my gymnastics days, I loved performing my routines more so than competing. I cared more about how my routines looked and how they were presented. I think she was always born to be a performer, if I'm being honest. What acts do you perform in the circus? So I'm still performing my main disciplines that I was training at circus school. Contortion hula hoops is my main discipline. I still perform aerial hoop, and in the show that I'm currently performing in, I'm also doing a bit of aerial chains now. So still hula hooping, still doing aerials, still doing contortion, doing the whole lot. And I've started flying trapeze training at Infamous, so I'm very excited to fly again and then maybe one day end up in the flying act. We'll see. How do you stay in shape and avoid injuries? So for me, I'm a naturally hypermobile bendy noodle, and Pilates is something that is very good for my body. And then just circus training in general, making sure I'm doing all my joint stabilization exercises and things. I also am a big fan of going for massages and seeing physios and doing a lot of recovery maintenance. And yeah, so circus training, Pilates, and all your recovery. What's the most difficult trick or routine you've ever performed? So my most difficult trick is actually, I speak about this in my upcoming vlog that's coming out on Sunday, but my most difficult trick is my 2-hoop needle trick. It's technically probably the hardest skill that I perform, and the stage that I'm currently performing on is acrobat, which makes balancing even harder. So my ankles are very strong now. It's just a really heavy balance. It's the Y scale, rotate to needle with 1 hoop on my knee and 1 hoop on my top foot, and then I do a whole little sequence. I love it. It's one of my ego tricks, and I think it's one where I don't think the audience necessarily realizes how hard it is, but any performers get how hard it is. How long does it take to master a new trick? This depends. It depends on the trick and it depends on the person, but I've spent on like some of my tricks, for example, if we use that 2-hoop one, I would say I started training just the top foot hoop in my first year of circus school, and I was holding on to a chair, hoop on the top foot, rotating to needle. And then I had 2 hoops going by the end of my 3rd year, but I would say 4 years until I could like exit cleanly and it be consistent enough for like on stage in shows and stuff. So about 4 years for that skill. The foot catch is also one that when I first started training, I didn't necessarily think I was ever going to put it on stage, but now it's become an ego trick of mine, and it was just something that I trained alongside, like when warming up for shows for years before it was in my act. And then I think it was on my 2nd cruise ship contract was when I bit the bullet and decided to put it in my act. And yeah, now it's an ego trick and I get really sad if I don't catch it properly. Have you ever gotten seriously injured during a performance? So no, we're gonna knock on wood for that. I haven't been like seriously injured during a performance, but I have had one major injury, and that was I tore the cartilage in my shoulder in term 1, year 1 of circus school. So I had shoulder surgery in my first year of circus school because I did a one-handed backward walkover and subluxed my shoulder, tore the cartilage, had to have surgery. Not fun, but silver lining, I learned a lot about my body and about my hypermobility and how I need to be training different to the average person to look after my body. And I think that injury and learning from that so early on in my circus career has helped with the longevity of my performing career. So yeah, you learn a lot. How do you handle nerves before going on stage? For hula hoops, I have to be really grounded and I have to be really calm. If I have like too much adrenaline and I'm like shaky, nervous, that's usually when I find things go wrong, or as soon as I start to doubt myself, that's when things in hula hoops will go wrong. So for me, I have like, if I feel like I need to ground myself a little more, I have a little visualization that I do. So in this show, in Dual Reality, I'm on stage right up until the start of my act. So I don't get a moment like backstage to like, before I go out there. And so during chess, which is like the scene before my act, I visualize like tree roots, and that I have roots going like through my feet and like through the floor to really like ground myself. And I feel like that helps like level me. And then after that, after I've done my like grounding, I just tell myself to have fun. Go out there, have fun, trust my body knows what to do. And you know, if I'm having fun, the audience is having fun, everyone's having a good time, and less goes wrong if I just trust my body. What's the best part about performing for a live audience? Ooh, I would say just bringing joy to people. I've always enjoyed making people happy, and I think people being able to escape their reality and come to the circus and just sort of like let all their worries and stresses and lives, like just put it to the side and just enjoy the show. To be able to do that for someone, I think is really special. Have you ever had a performance go wrong, and what happened? Yes, we are humans, so mistakes happen. Actually, yesterday we had an incident. In the middle of my act, I throw my hoop to do my foot catch. Boom, one lot of lights go down. Couple seconds later, boom, another set of lights. And then, boom, back screen goes out, music cuts out. We lose power in stages. In the middle of my act, I still caught the foot catch though. We eventually get the lights back up and we resume the show. We start again from the top of my act, we resume the show. The audience was really great, it was fine. But we found out that a kind human decided to pull the power from the back of the tent. So they snuck around the back of the tent, and while the show was on, they pulled the power out. So that was fun. That was really fun. I've never had that experience before, but I like voice noted Cody and I was like, Cody, a mug came and pulled the power out of the tent, and he was giggling because he's like, yep, that happens a lot. So that was a surprise to me that happens a lot, but that was a first for me, having the power being pulled out. Love that. But we were lucky that it was in a safe moment and like no one got hurt, or that it wasn't at a dangerous moment in the show. Very grateful, but funny. I do have the video footage and it'll also be in my upcoming vlog on Sunday. Do you get to improvise, or is it all choreographed? My acts are usually very choreographed. There's only been a couple times in my career where I've gotten to improvise, but I don't particularly like improvising too much. I usually like my acts to be very rehearsed, but Cody is someone who will change his act on the fly if he feels like trying a new trick or feels like changing things up. He will like improvise depending on the day, which I think is insane. He'll just try new tricks when he feels like it, and I think that's really awesome. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. I know when a new skill's going in my act, and it is preparation, it is rehearsal, it is making it fit. Like, props to Cody, because it could not be me. What's it like living and traveling with the circus? It's incredible. The life of working for a contemporary circus company versus a traditional circus company are so different. With a contemporary circus company, you're living out of a suitcase. It's hotels, Airbnb, apartment life, living out of your suitcase. Whereas in the traditional circus world, I will be living with Cody in a caravan, and I get to unpack, and our whole home travels. So I think that's going to be really nice to be able to unpack and settle in fully without having a suitcase in sight. I'm so excited for that. How often do you move or travel to a new place? This depends on the company and the tour schedule. With Seven Fingers, we've really done a mix. We've stayed in places for up to 4 weeks. And then we've also, in France, we were doing 2 days per city and then moving. So it really depends on the show and what's being booked. But with contemporary companies, it's contract-based work. So you're contracted for so many months. It just depends on where they book the show. So like earlier on this year, I had 2 really big breaks because we didn't have any shows booked. So grateful I got to go home and spend time with Cody in those breaks. But with the traditional circus, I believe Infamous changes cities every 4-ish weeks on average, every 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. They pack up the whole tent and move towns. So yeah, constantly on the move. Do you miss having a normal routine? Yes. And I think this is also why I'm so excited to go to Australia and join Infamous and be living and working with Cody. I feel like I'll get more of a balanced life, being able to live and work with my partner and have a little bit more of a normal performing life. I mean, I don't think there's really anything normal about being a performer. We have routines in a different way. I don't know, it's just a different lifestyle completely. I've been on tour for a long time, and yeah, I'm craving that consistency, I think, is the big thing that I'm missing. And I'm excited to go back home to Australia and be home for a while and be with my partner, basically. What do you do on your days off? It depends on where I am. It depends on where I am in the world. I do like to make an effort to see the different cities and countries that I travel to. I really do like to make effort to see a bit of the places I go to. But honestly, it also depends on our schedule, because sometimes we are working a lot. And I think there's like a little bit of a misconception with people being like, oh, tour life is this like huge glamorous thing and you're like on holiday, and it's a lot of work too. It's a lot of physical work. We're tired. For example, this week we're performing at the Ziget Festival in Budapest, and our show is really late. Our show's really late. We get home late. We go to sleep late. And so I'm having very late mornings because I need to sleep. And then you need to preserve your energy to be able to do the show. And so it's this like weird balance of like needing to make sure that your body's ready to do the work that you need to do, because that's your job, So it's not all fun and games. Yeah, so it's got to be, you've got to find your balance of enjoying the cities that you're visiting, but also being able to do your job professionally. Do you ever feel like part of a big family? Yes. Oh, absolutely. The instant family feeling came when I joined Infamous for a couple weeks. Like, they really took me in as one of theirs, and that was a really incredible feeling. As someone who's like been on the road for a long time, that feeling of home I really haven't felt in a long time, and so being at Infamous, I was like, oh, these are my people, and they took me in, and yeah, I'm excited to go back home to my family, basically. What advice would you give someone who wants to join the circus? Keep up your training, keep enjoying what you do, and keep in mind that everyone's journey is different. So your journey is going to look different and be different to the person next to you. Or if you're in school, just remember that everyone's careers and everyone's journeys are different, and it's your own journey, and enjoy every opportunity you get, enjoy every performance you get to have, enjoy every second you get to be on stage, because work is not necessarily the most consistent, and I know right now in the performing world work is hard to get, so really appreciate and enjoy every moment you get to be on stage. Ooh, okay, and we're gonna do one last question is, do you think you'll keep performing forever? I would like to perform as long as possible. I believe to my core that I was meant to be a performer, and I think I will perform as long as my body will let me. And if I'm not performing on stage, I can see myself being in the industry to some capacity for a very, very, very long time. I want to perform as long as possible. Okay, so that was a little bit of a circus Q&A. Hopefully you've gotten to know me a little bit better. If you do have any more questions about my career or circus or life in general, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll be in there replying to as many as I can. Yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.